Oh my God, we're back. Took a little hiatus, went into the void, tried to look for some new things, and your Lore Masters have returned. Welcome to the, should I say, brand new issue 0, revampment. That word's gonna vamp's gonna play a little bit here shortly. Revampment of Lord
Christ.
Master the Third. As always, with your host, Lord Master Jeff, myself, Lord Master Eli. Jeff, how you feel being back?
I feel a little bit like Eminem. You know what I mean?
Feel a little bit like Eminem.
Mm-hmm. Look who's back again.
Oh, okay, all right. I wasn't sure where you're gonna go with that.
That was bad.
I thought you meant you were gonna come back with a movie about your life.
Well, 8 Mile was loosely based on my life. So
loosely based on your life.
And then it wasn't at all. So.
Are you saying like loosely in terms of like I lived on a road?
Like that I'm a human. And,
okay. All right.
You know, so.
But you have no like singing abilities, rapping abilities.
I can sing a little bit. I don't know about rapping.
You wouldn't win in a rap battle?
I don't know. I've never been in one. So, it's one of those things where you can't say no until you know. If you know what I mean.
Between you and me, do you think you could?
Are you suggesting that we have a rap battle? Is that where you said?
No, I have no. I tend to, anytime I rhyme or try to do like a rhyming quickly, I always end up just making it end up going the avenue where it rhymes with shit or like dick or balls or like
that's.
So I was just like, I feel like that's not very cool if all of your lyrics become dick and fart jokes.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know if I really have a freestyle way about me.
Me neither. But hey, everybody, Loremasters back. We took a little hiatus. We went on some adventures. We learned a lot along the way about ourselves and love and stuff. But while we were gone, we decided to change the show up a little bit because I think we both got tired of watching what little parts of our childhood we loved die week after week. So we decided we're gonna move away from the movies a little bit, right? We're gonna put those to the side and try to keep some fondness for life. And now instead, because we always end up talking about stuff anyways, we thought we'd talk about each week, cover a new kind of legend, lore, mystery, some craziness happening in the world, potentially conspiracy theories, things along those lines. I think that's more our alley, right, Jeff?
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, the movies will still be around. We'll still. Yeah. It's kind of an amalgam of different stuff. I guess. I guess there's a lot of influences. So.
Right. And so we thought we'd try this route for a while, see how it feels. Because if we're being honest, it's our show. We'll do what the fuck we want. I think that's true. I think it's gonna be our new mottos. We're the Lore Masters, and we do what the fuck we want.
We do what we want. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And you can't stop us.
There's literally nothing.
Nothing you can do. It's a free show, people. Yep. Can't stop this train.
Can't stop it. Choo choo, motherfucker.
We should get that on a shirt with your face. Choo choo, motherfucker. Lord Master Jeff. Because we tend to, as you know, on the show, we tend to go on adventures, and we go on these adventures. They always tend to be tied to something. So that's what we're gonna do. And we happen to go on an adventure over the weekend. We decided there's a new movie out. We're not gonna review the movie, but we decided to go see this movie that was about what we are going to talk about today. We started out as a wonderful experience, and then quickly turned to, what would you say, disappointment?
I mean, I wouldn't say quickly. I would say. I mean, I guess this depends on what gauge you're using, right? So about an hour and 10 minutes journey of happiness and then just a plummet into hell.
We went and watched the new the Last Voyage of the Demeter. And for those of you that haven't heard that movie because they haven't really done much marketing for it, it's basically it's based on the book Dracula, but one chapter called the Captain's Log, where it talks about the boat that basically brought Dracula from Eastern Europe to London, and it's a famous chapter in the book because it's read in the narrative of sections and snippets of the captain's log, and then it kind of the chapter starts and ends with them finding this boat that as it comes into dock and the crew is completely gone. There's a bunch of mist that night, and the only thing left on the cargo with the manifest. They don't know what happened to the crew, but they're like, "Oh well, this cargo's here, and it looks weird, but like whatever, we'll just take it where it's supposed to go and fuck the crew."
So, yeah.
So
seems real logical.
we thought tonight we would talk about, because Bram Stoker, who wrote Dracula, it's not like he just created it out of thin air. He based it off legends of someone who was called the Dragon, which is what Dracula stands for in Romanian, Vlad the Impaler. So we thought we'd talk about the legends and lores of Dracula. Jeff, what you know about Dracula?
Wasn't a nice guy.
He was not.
I don't know. There's a bunch of different kind of tales or depictions, I guess is probably of him. There's kind of the what Vlad the Impaler.
You have Vlad the Impaler. That's probably the most common, and I would say probably the correct version of who he is.
Well, that's kind of the most down to earth one, right? Like, or the most like the most baseline Dracula, I guess. Because then there's like the romantic Dracula of like he became a vampire because of he loved this woman or whatever, and that like from was a Dracula Untold or what that movie was.
Yeah.
It's kind of an offshoot tale. There's a couple different iterations of how he got his abilities, his powers. He's a demon. There's a bunch of different a bunch of different takes. And for some, he has a bunch of different abilities, usually depending on who you asked or who wrote about it. I think he's one of the most not historic, but the most like iconic lore figures out there. One of
I'd say one of them. Yeah, I'd say he's in the upper echelon.
Spawned a lot of pop culture things from Dracula and the Legend of the Vampire. I don't know, was the legend of just a vampire? Is it necessarily like that's separate technically from Dracula?
Well, so technically, if you want to get real weird, vampires were there's basically kind of three legends that started vampires. One was John Carpenter. No, in ancient Aztecs, they believed in this like giant bat demon thing that was basically, it looked like a man bat, not Batman, but man bat. Like it was like, if you see drawings of it, it's like a dude with dude legs and his dick out. And then from like the chest up, bat head and bat wings. And he
that was kind of him in this movie, right? That was
like a version. His like, even in the book, that was like his feral version.
There wasn't no dick or whatever, but like
there was no dick, but so like that, like that's what the like, so that became like the vampire legend in like Aztec. Then you had in Ireland, you had their version,
a drunk vampire.
The drunk vampire. No, their version of banshees, and some mermaids. They would basically trick sailors into like getting on their rocks so they could like have sex with fish women, and then they would bare their fangs and drink their blood. But they believe the most common basis of vampires is Drugers from Scandinavian lore, because they were undead creatures that would have random powers. And then as the Vikings kind of Norse kind of like traveled and conquered and like brought Druids to the area, you would see them have like more abilities and more powers, and like
Right. The kind
that,
of the tail morphed.
right, and that kind of became modern vampire lore.
Hmm.
But what gets weird about Dracula is like Vlad, like there's two main theories of who Dracula was. There's Vlad the Impaler, but a lot of his weaknesses actually came from this side belief that Dracula was actually Judas from the Bible.
Hmm.
So I
So that
thought
was like his punishment for his sin.
right, for betraying
Right.
Christ. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I figured we'd talk about Vlad the Impaler a little bit. Then maybe talk about this Judas thing a little bit.
All right. Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Because you had Vlad the Impaler, right? Who was basically, I think it was in like the 1400s or like between the 13 and 1400s. He was this Ottoman warlord who was known for being like the biggest dick and cruel. And he like managed to get this army and went on one conquest where he was taking over much of Europe. And just he would, as they would travel, he would all the prisoners they get, women and children, he would impale them on spikes so it rained blood over the lands.
All right.
He would behead like the people, the soldiers that survived. There's also punishments of him cutting off people's dick and then like sticking it in their mouth and impaling them on a spike.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a little much. I mean, like, what's the?
Hey, well, that's what everybody at the time thought. So, like, after first conquest, they finally like stopped them. They're like, "Whoa, bro, whoa!" And so they exiled him. And I know what you're thinking. Well, I mean that's gotta be that, right? No, that wasn't it because
Well, I feel like a guy that like impales people and like whatever, just exiling him isn't really gonna do it. He's like, oh, okay, well that'll teach me, and then like you know what I mean? Like that doesn't seem like a fitting punishment.
While he was exiled, he somehow managed to get a bigger army that went back through, took everything else that he already had in Eastern Europe, and then went clear up into Romania. And the term is like they didn't even call it when I was reading a war. They said he bullied his way through Romania, took over, and that was his like basis, and he reigned there for years. Somehow became crueler during the second conquest because then there's stories of him like standing underneath these impale because he would make sure that the pike, the sharpened wooden stick, would go through their anus and out their mouth.
If you're gonna do it, do it right, you know, I guess.
And then there are stories of him standing under them to let the blood fall in his mouth. But I have to ask you a question.
That's I mean,
if you're impaling anus to mouth and you're like letting the blood drip your mouth, you have to assume there's like some poop flecks in that blood, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that wasn't a good choice on his part. I mean,
I'm really surprised he did. Like, there's not much stories of him having really pink and goopy eyes.
Right? Yeah. Well,
yeah, pink guy from poop flex, you know. There's stories of him eating some of the people he caught, lining the roads in impaled folks, children, women, didn't matter. And then I read some stories where they said he even figured out a way to impale people so they wouldn't die right away, and then he would light them on fire.
Wow. I mean, so this guy had it all, you know.
I don't want to say, you know, he was a man with a plan. Not a nice plan.
But so it's just one of them things where he advanced science by impaling people. Is that,
you know what's weird? I haven't read anything where he advanced anything.
Okay. Well, you know how it goes. I mean, you know, like he was studying bodies so he could figure out the best way to impale people. And
if I had to guess, you say studying, I say standing naked with a boner and hard nipples.
Well, yeah.
Like, now, is that for science?
I don't think so. I mean, it could be. Depends on what kind of scientist you are.
I don't want to be a part of that science. If you're considering that some form.
Can you imagine the peer review on that?
Oh my god! I No, you would not be the same after reading that. Like, was it like Buffalo Bills peer review?
Yeah, I mean, close. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Like he's a scientist for like serial
Mm-hmm.
killers and shitheads.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he after this he rolled through Romania and all of his conquered lands for a couple years, and then the Ottoman War broke out, and he wasn't really involved, but decided to get into this war because he thought he could conquer more. But these were real big boy armies, large countries, Turkey, the Ottoman Empire, large.
Is that
And
what is that what Ottomans are named after?
you mean like the furniture?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Do you,
You ever think about that?
I haven't, and now I'm wondering if the Ottoman Empire
Did they
knew.
have a bunch of Ottomans?
Well, I'm just thinking maybe like they're like, oh, we're the greatest army at one point in history, and then our life got whittled down to we're only known
Yeah.
by
Now
furniture.
the only thing people know us from is
Yeah,
are these what are Ottomans like couches or something kind of
like
like
love seats, I think.
yeah
It's
yeah
almost like Jim Jones. His whole thing was he wanted to be a great man who'd remember forever, and really the only thing anybody remembers about him is that shitty "Don't drink the Kool-Aid" joke.
oh yeah yeah.
And now we have.
I don't even remember him from that. So.
Then you
But
have
I do know what an Ottoman is. So
you do.
jokes on Jim Jones, I guess.
So he nowhere near as big as the Ottoman Empire
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all of their Ottomans. Should we open a furniture store
Just sell Ottomans.
and call it the Ottoman Empire?
Oh, that's a pretty good one. Yeah, yeah.
I don't even know if it's spelled.
Is there a big demand for Ottomans nowadays?
I don't think so.
I don't even know where you would get one. I guess like any furniture store, can you just like go in and be like, "Hey, I need an Ottoman."
Well, if I'm to believe what I see online, it seems like no one really buys real furniture anymore. They all buy those giant love sacks. You ever seen those?
Yes, I have. Yep.
They're the best way that I can think we can describe them as is an adult beanbag.
Yeah, yeah. That is
They are
an
like
apt description.
they are expensive adult beanbags. Like just the chair is like $400.
Wow.
If you get the
That is
couch,
much more expensive than an Ottoman. I'm looking at them now. You can get an Ottoman with double storage darker gray Ottoman for $80 at Target. So Ottoman's like a footstool. It's not even
it's not even the
like
chair.
couch. It's like a small yeah, basically it's a footstool. It's essentially what it is.
Well, then
Some with storage, some without storage. So
of course. Well, if this did come from the Ottoman Empire, Dracula, or I'm sorry, Vlad the Impaler should be even more embarrassed because, even though he was known as being the most aggressive, cruelest, bloodthirsty person there, by this time he had in the area people believed he was a demon, because of like how cruel he was.
yeah.
The Romanians believed he was they used to call him the dragon or Dracula, which is where the name Dracula came from. But they believed he was a bloodthirsty dragon. Like that's why he made the blood and had the fires and everything. So like people were afraid of him, and like he definitely left a mark wherever he went. But then they quickly realized, oh, this asshole's got a much smaller army than us, and
Yeah.
they end up
Yeah.
about halfway through the war. They end up cornering him in his what was left of his army near this cave, and then they are assuming because they never found his body that he was butchered in his whole army. His whole Vlad the Impaler army was just wiped out that day.
So that's kind of where the like so they never found him. So that's where the connection to vampire or Dracula.
Well, that's why it came in is like like he couldn't be died, like he was demon because like they're like, well, they
right, like he went in that cave and
left,
yeah.
right, and then like they like some folks claim that they saw him at different points in Romania, but then Bram Stoker wrote his famous book Dracula based on that, and then he kind of mixed up like by that point to Romania, the Druids or Dragers kind of became what vampires are to them. So then, like, he kind of went from being a demon to this undead, supernatural ability person.
Creature, yeah.
His castle is still in Romania. You can go see his castle. You stay in it, I believe. Like
that'd be pretty interesting.
Oh, Mary was showing me that like they do events and stuff there. Like, they basically like, rent out people to like stay and sleep.
Yeah,
But
sure.
there was a D&D company that you would stay the weekend there and you play D&D all weekend, Dracula
Oh
Castle.
wow, yeah, that's actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty metal.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
How far is Romania? It's
it's
pretty
like
far away, right? It's
Eastern
like,
Europe. Yeah,
yeah,
it's like
it's like real
closer to
far.
Russia than it is here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Well.
but it's like right, it's in that area.
Mhm.
Yeah, so like that, so like that's where like all of a sudden he got his powers because like some people believe that he could shapeshift and like like he drank blood, but that was just from the blood. They said he would drink from like the
Mhm.
anus hole. Yeah,
That paints quite a different picture than I
that's
think of Dracula.
that's paint a different picture. And then then Bram Stoker got it, and that's when he kind of combined a bunch of these tales and legends.
Yeah.
And then you had the Dracula, where this intelligent undead creature that was out to drink blood, and apparently Vlad the Impaler had a large concubine. So anybody that's read Dracula know that he's ruined to the ladies. They had multiple wives.
Wonder why they end up dropping the anus drinking from
Yeah,
the book.
I just kind of feel, a lot of people would not want to read that chapter
I
about
mean, you never know.
drank it from their anus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That'd be a much different story if, like, instead
that's
of
what.
Dracula
Yeah,
biting your
yeah.
neck, he like can only drink your blood from your butthole.
That would have been a better movie with Dracula Untold than what.
Show me your butthole.
Yeah. He just creep around in the dark like.
Do you think he would have the same amount like fang length, so he has to get real close to your butthole,
Giving people the old,
or would he have real long fangs so he
just
doesn't
sneaks
have
up
to?
on you and gives you
The finger of death.
Yeah.
Oh my god! You know what? No one would like. Would you be more afraid of Dracula if
For
he did
sure,
that?
for
Oh my
sure.
god, yeah.
Because that's not only is he gonna kill you, he's gonna give you the death finger in your anus.
And drink your dirty butthole blood.
Yep.
Oh man, that'd be those would be very different movies.
Because like when you think about it, your defense wouldn't work against him.
You mean shitting myself?
Yeah.
Oh, he's not. Oh man, you're right because he's used to having shit fly in his mouth.
He doesn't care. Dracula don't give a fuck about no poop covered prey. Think about that.
Well, oh man, what would you? Well,
that's why he's afraid of garlic.
So that's what you have to do is have like eat a bunch of garlicky food, so you have them spicy diarrheas.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you have
to eat a bunch of Greek food.
Yeah, or just like keep a ball of garlic between your butt cheeks.
Yeah, well, I mean, which is worse though? I mean,
like carrying garlic, like having your blood drained from your butthole, or keep a piece of garlic.
Getting the old finger of death. But what if he went to do the finger of death and he shot the garlic up your butt? Like,
oh my god!
There's all kinds of problems with this scenario.
There is no winning in this scenario for anybody.
That's what I'm saying. There's no winning. For the real, forget everything else that's going on. That's what you guys should really be afraid of out there.
Vampires who drink from your butthole. Yeah. Oh my god! But part of Dracula's weaknesses, they come from this other kind of weird, like, I would say it's more like the occult tale, where a lot of people believe Judas, his curse for betraying Christ, is basically immortality in the form of a blood drinking demon who can never see the light. And so if you look like he turned to darkness, we betrayed Christ, so now you can never go to the sun. Silver hurts vampires because he was 30 pieces of silver he betrayed Christ for. Crosses, you can't, crosses, because
obvious. Yeah, it's pretty
obvious one. And then the wooden stake is because if like
cross, right?
Well, no, actually, because in the there are some like lost books of the Bible that they have, and some versions of the Bible, and there's other versions of the Bible it's part of the main story, is that after the morning after Judas betrayed Christ and they crucified him, he was so overcome with like the gravity of what he did and was so ashamed that he hung himself in an old tree outside of town. And so like the cult version is that the night like he hung himself and then he was alive. He realized he wouldn't die, and his weakness is from wood, because like from the wood of that tree. Like it originally started out was like the wood of that specific tree would kill him, and then like as time grew,
Mine
it was
makes more
just
sense. That doesn't.
anyway.
Mine
Is
makes
the
mine.
the
Mine's
butthole
better. No, the cross and the
instead of from the
like.
tree
That's
he hung himself in?
yeah, because the wooden cross. That like that tree thing doesn't make any sense. I'm just saying.
No, fair enough. But that's what it was.
I'm better at writing Dracula lore than these folks are. So.
Like, you mean for thousands of years of like,
Yep.
you're like, it took 1,000 years for me to just make it better.
I literally in 10 seconds made it better than what these people were talking about. Doesn't that make more sense? Because he was crucified on a wooden cross. Like,
I mean, what else kind of cross they crucify him on?
Well, I mean, but I'm saying that relates better to the wooden stake because it's a sign of like his sin. You know what I mean? Like that. So that's why that's the only thing that can kill him is this.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
Stake.
It kind of both parts make sense to me.
No, the other one doesn't. It's dumb.
Weak to the wood of his tree, and then as time goes on, it's just
what tree? He all he did was try like that. Doesn't there was no like there was nothing associated with that tree.
He couldn't die in it.
They can't die anyhow. So does that mean like he can't? He's allergic to dirt because he couldn't bury himself alive. Like, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't make any sense. Mine makes way more sense. So.
All right, fair enough. So a lot of people believe Dracula is actually Jews.
I'm a scholar and a Loremaster, sir.
Oh, that's true.
That is,
I should not question
you guys have heard it here first. That is the reason.
Well, let me ask you this: some people like there are some cult tales where like Judas was actually Vlad the Impaler. He like as time went on, like he then became like because after living for so long, he then like he goes through this period where he's like real vengeful and upset. So he became Vlad the Impaler and tried to like take over stuff and be evil as an act of aggression against God. And then basically, God.
You mean Judas became Vlad the Impaler? Is that
right? Like he's basically like as time
I was like your timelines aren't mixing up. I thought you meant like Vlad the Impaler had time travel abilities and went back.
Like Judas, because basically part of the reason too they argue that the reason Judas didn't die was because if you look at another punishment God dealt to a specific person was in the story of Cain and Abel. When Cain killed Abel, God basically made him immortal, and he had to walk the earth for till the end of the earth's days with the mark of Cain, showing that he killed somebody pure and innocent. And he'd be ridiculed and beaten and be miserable for an eternity, right?
Isn't there like some people say maybe that's kind of Dracula or whatever? Cain?
No, Cain. So like there's other monsters that they associate with Cain.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But it was Judas who was always Dracula. That's like one of those kind of weird things, yeah. A lot of people say like Cain became a demon. That's where like Supernatural got that. The show Supernatural did that storyline, but
I never watched that show.
It's not bad. There's some seasons that are good. There's some seasons that are not good. Then there's some seasons that it should have ended, and then they kept making it. And then the last season was like, and then the last episode was like,
Oh, they're done with it. There's no more.
Seasons? Well, but then they did like a weird prequel show,
spin-off or whatever.
But that got canceled.
Prequels are dumb.
And then there's talk of another spin-off show coming, which I'm sure will be canceled, like the last one.
Yeah, real quick. So
yeah, they didn't even finish the first season of the spin-off.
Was that like the original Twilight? Right? There's like a vampire.
Vampire and werewolf.
I thought there was. Is there a mummy in there? It's like
Twilight.
It's like the that Supernatural. It's like real world monsters, right? Isn't that what it is?
Well, I mean,
this is what happens when monsters stop being polite. Start getting real.
There's a bunch of
monsters. Is that what it is? There's a bunch of them. They live in the house.
Well,
together, right?
No, it's about the Winchesters who go and hunt and kill these monsters.
But there's a bunch of monsters that live in one house, right?
No, you're thinking of there was a show on Sci-Fi that was about a vampire, a werewolf, and a ghost living together.
Oh, that's not the same. That's not Supernatural.
No.
Oh, I thought that's what it was. That's why I was like, why are you watching that show?
Supernatural is about two monster hunters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what show I'm thinking of then.
Yeah, what is that? I must look that up. Show on
Yeah, they had me.
sci-fi
They had me.
about
They had me until they're like, yeah, and a ghost lives here. I'm like, all right. Like,
it was the ghost that got you.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'm like, come on, like like, and they had to throw a ghost in here.
It's called Being Human.
Okay, that's the show. Honestly, I thought for the entirety since I knew about shows, I thought that was Supernatural because you talk about it all the time, and I'm like, that is the dumbest show I've ever heard of in my
Oh
life.
my
I'm
god,
like, how
no!
can you watch that?
Why would I watch a show like that?
Well, I mean,
Because I remember when Being Human first came out, I did try watching it because sci-fi made it out like it was more like, oh, these ghost vampire and werewolf like fighting each other. And then I made about 20 minutes into the first episode, I went, oh, this
okay.
No,
Well, that makes more sense now. I mean, literally, I thought that's what Supernatural was.
No, Supernatural is about these two brothers who are hunters and they hunt monsters. And like for like the first couple seasons, it was like every week it was them fighting a different like monster, ghost, whatever. And then like they brought in this whole stuff with like angels, demons was kind of cool. And then it kind of got bad for a couple seasons, and then it kind of got okay. And I was like, oh, it's getting good again. And then it got bad. And I was like, I can't watch this no more. And then like last year, I was like, you know what? It's done. I'm gonna finish it. And then I was miserable for like the last like 4 seasons.
Yeah.
And then the last episode, I was like, this was a thing.
It's over now.
This was a thing.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, not great. But I don't think they ever fought Dracula.
Well, that's weak.
Actual Dracula, yeah.
Did they fight? They fought actual vampires though. Like they fight.
Yeah. It was kind of cool what they did with vampires. They made it more like wild, like they're kind of like more like animals. They had like mouthful, like sharp teeth. It's kind of cool. Oh, there was a guy who was like Dracula, but he wasn't Dracula. He was like the old vampire or something.
Dime store Dracula.
He's like Aldi's brand Dracula.
Yeah.
More like Dr. Acula.
It's like Chad the Impaler.
Chad the Impaler.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like Chad the Impaler. Oh God. You know what? It's crazy though. Dracula keeps like vampires in general. I say they're probably one of the more popular monsters, you know?
Yeah, for sure. They're very it depends. Well, so there's a lot of like I said before, there's a few different like types, right? So there's like the romantic whatever lover vampire guy,
like Twilight.
Well, not just that, but like Interview with the Vampire and like
right, okay, yeah.
Like there's this like what was that? Anne Rice, right? She kind of writes like.
Well, it was a series. There was Interview with the Vampire, Queen of the Damned.
Queen of the Damned.
The Vampire Lestat. It's actually like those are the only books I actually like, but they're pretty good.
Oh, that's right. I didn't. You know what? I watched Interview with the Vampire recently.
It does not hold up.
It's not great. No, but it's also got some weird stuff in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
well, that's what's like.
I don't know who thought this was a good idea.
I don't know. Like because I rewatched that. I used to like that movie a lot, and I rewatched it last year, and like there's like parts I was like, I feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Which and I don't know. Like, is it Tom Cruise that makes it that?
No, there's this the whole situation with them too, and that little girl was just weird. It's just weird. Like, and I don't think Queen of the Damned had what's her name in it.
Well, so they didn't recast Brad Pitt. Instead, they cast this guy who I don't remember. I don't think he's everything. And then there's that singer. She died.
Yeah, Aaliyah.
Wasn't she like with DMX or something?
I don't know if she was with DMX. I think her name was Aaliyah.
Yeah, Aaliyah. And then Stuart Townsend. Why does that name sound familiar? Who played Lestat? He played Brad Pitt's character.
No, I thought Lestat. Who was Tom Cruise's character? He was
he wasn't in Queen of the Damned.
No, but like in the because he was like the vampire. He was supposed to be the master or whatever, and then I guess that was during that whole Vampire the Masquerade like Renaissance thing. Like I don't know. I guess one was
Oh no, you know what? I'm sorry. Tom Cruise was Lestat. Brad Pitt
Yeah, I was
was
gonna say I
not. You're
thought
right.
Tom
Yeah.
Cruise was
So
because he
like in
gets
all
killed.
three is about Lestat. Well, no,
Yeah.
he's still alive. You find out the end of Interview with the Vampire, remember?
Oh, that's right. He was like in the swamp or
And
whatever, and
like
then
because the first one is Interview with the Vampire, and then the second one's Queen of the Damned, where he like becomes a rock star, and then
mm-hmm.
Vampire Lestat is the third one, and it's like kind of about like the end of his vampire and good times.
His Lestatting.
Yeah, like but Queen of the Damned was not good. That
Mm.
movie was real bad, not
Yeah,
good.
and like I said, that kind of spawned all that there's White Wolf Publishing games like that
Yeah,
Vampire the Masquerade and that
yeah.
weird role playing era where
I
people
listen,
dress up like vampires or
listen.
whatever.
I when I was in college,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to start playing D&D and stuff like that,
Yeah, yeah.
and there was nobody playing D&D, but I saw a group in the library that they were
Mm-hmm.
going to be hosting that Vampire Masquerade game, and
Mm-hmm.
like when I looked in the library, it's like it's basically like D&D, but you're all vampires.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, okay, that'd be cool. And they're like, oh, we're in the basement because in the basement of the library where I went to school at, they had these like we called them cubes, but they were like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
rooms you go in.
Segregated
Yeah,
rooms or whatever. Yeah.
and I was like, okay. And so like I go to the library, stop, get coffee in the library, the little coffee shop,
Mm-hmm.
walking down the basement. And when I came down, I remember there's a girl. She's like kind of looking around, and she saw me. She's like, are you coming to the meet play? I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, she's good because I'm going too. It's my first time, but I'm not sure where these cubes are. I was like, oh yeah, yeah, my first time too. Follow me. And as we're walking towards the cubes, because they're clear, you
Yeah.
can see inside them. I was like, this is a mistake because
Right. Because
it looked,
it's not like they were just cosplaying. They like I think they like anybody I've ever met. I should preface that I don't know for sure, but anybody I not all of them, but anybody I've ever met who dressed up like that to play
yeah.
vampire took it way too serious. It wasn't
Well,
like they were just I'm getting into the game. Like
nope.
they lived the life. Like
It looked like a Matrix
there was
cosplay
definitely
in there.
some anus biting going on. You know what I mean?
They all had fake teeth in and like
Yeah.
just dressed up in leather.
Mm-hmm.
And it was weird because like the time frame of the game was like the 1800s, but like they were all wearing an extremely worrisome amount of leather.
Mm-hmm.
And so like that girl and I walk in and they're like,
Well, no,
DMs.
because the original Vampire Masquerade was modern times.
Yeah,
So
this guy's was set in the
there's well
1800s.
there was like I think it was called like Dark Ages or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
And when we walked the DM sets down, he was very serious.
Mm-hmm.
We were not here to play a game. It was a very serious thing. And
Yeah,
it's like,
all right.
okay. And he's like yelling at people and like we're making our characters and he's like getting mad at that girl next to me because like she's like I played like RPGs on games where I had
Yeah,
kind of a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
familiar. And then she's
At
like,
least an
well,
idea of what's happening. Yeah.
yeah, and he's like, what? He asked her like, what's the backstory of your character? She's like, she's like, I mean, how in depth does it have to be? He's like, well, how am I supposed to know, who you are, whatever. He's like, and like, he's like, what's even your guy's name or your vampire's name? She's like, I guess Cindy. And he's like, Cindy, there's no Cindy in that name. And I was like, you know what? I was
Oh
like, this has
yeah.
been a pleasure.
Bye.
Check, please.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And like I got up and like walked out and I made like halfway that girl's like, hold on, wait for me. She's like, I don't feel comfortable being there by myself. And I was like, probably a good
Yeah,
call.
yeah. Let's get the fuck out of here, man. Like
So I never played that game because
mhm.
I'm like, I can't do this. I mean, that DM, he was so angry
Yeah.
about the name Cindy. But like
Yeah, that's weird.
Cindy's
I
his
mean,
own
like a
name.
group I used to play with a long time ago. They were not so they were not like dress up like they weren't that they weren't
Yeah.
so we played like a little bit of vampire, but the guy that was like obsessed with it ironically went to prison for having child pornography on his computer. So
Ah,
I mean, you can draw whatever connection you want with that, but like he was like really into Vampire the Masquerade. Like that's all he would want to play all the time. And I'm like, all right, well,
this, this
two, two and two is four. You know what I mean?
man. You know what's weird though? Besides what a story you just told me,
Mm.
uh, vampires, that weird legend where like the blooding vampires aren't really a
Mm-hmm.
thing. Now everybody, what they believe is like the energy vampires or what's
Mm-hmm.
prevalent
Like
today.
Colin Robinson.
Basically, yeah. Basically.
Yep.
I watched this thing on well, like if you ask people that are like afraid of the energy vampires, they're like, those blood sucking vampires didn't exist. It's
Okay.
always been energy vampires. And he's like they suck your energy out. And he was like, one time he's like, I went to this like group about, it was supposed to be like crystals and cleaning your aura and all that. And he goes,
Yeah.
and
Your
here was a
chakra.
trap. When I got there, it was all these energy vampires,
Wow.
and they sucked
They were
all
trying
the
to
energy. And he's like, I barely got out
suck
of there. I was
his.
so tired, I had no energy.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like that sometimes.
And, well, it's funny you say, because like when I was watching, he was like, anytime you're out in public and all of a sudden you just weirdly feel all your energy leave you, it means you
It
were
must be
fed on by
must be a
energy
lot of them
vampire.
around there because I know sometimes if I have to deal with certain people, I'm just
Yeah,
exhausted after I'm dealing with them.
right. Well, I mean, every day at work, I
Mhm.
about an hour in just lose all will to live
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I think just work in general is a energy vampire.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. But so like
I mean,
now,
I think it's people that I think there's still people that really think they're or think they're actual vampires or whatever. Or I mean, whatever people
yeah,
do whatever you want out there. I don't, it doesn't matter to me. But yeah, like there's a sect of people who are, hey, I'm an actual vampire or whatever.
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Let's say we go back in time. You're a young man, you're single, and you're on the prowl.
Mm-hmm.
Meet somebody, and the first thing that you're like, you introduce them, oh hey, my name's Jeff. You tell them your fun fact about yourself,
Mm.
and like this girl's like, oh yeah, my name's Cindy. I'm an energy vampire. How do you react to that situation?
How far back are we going? Because well, I'm just saying. I mean, like from from 18 to about 24.
Uh-huh.
Some stuff happened. That's all I'm saying. You know, I had a much more open mind around that time. So
Okay. Okay.
you know,
Okay.
we'll just
Right.
let it there.
So you
So
wouldn't have laughed or like
it
made
just
fun
well,
of her, but like, hey, I gotta get out of here.
no, you know, I'd have been like, all right, well, let's get this party started. I don't know what to tell you.
You and I were very different people then.
Really?
Oh, very different. I've always liked like scary stuff and whatever. And like so like
Mm.
there's some there's people in every group, right?
Mhm.
And I actually where I went to school, they also had like a ghost hunting club I was part of.
Yeah, yeah.
But like they went at it from like, oh, we're there to disprove that most time it's not real, like
Yeah.
taking a scientific approach. Um, there was one guy who was like, he said he could touch stuff and get flash memories, and like
Now
that was like,
you said a girl when you gave me my scenario. A
well,
guy is
yeah,
completely different. That's a different scenario.
well, yeah, no, I'm not, no, I'm just saying because in this, but like he said flash memory, and I refused to sit next to him in the van on the way
Mhm.
to events. Now, I even if he was a girl, I still feel like I'd be like, no, thank you.
Well, I mean, different time.
I must
Different
spend
time.
that time.
It's
I've always been like that. I don't know. Maybe it's just me because I'm always like someone says something weird. I'm like, hmm. Because I remember there's a in our friend group there was this girl who once said she remembered being born, and I was like,
all right.
okay.
Let's go for it, I guess. I don't
And she was like starting to describe, and I was like, all right, well, not my friend no more.
know. You're not my friend anymore.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I guess it's like one of those things where so there's a tolerance ceiling for that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. You know what I mean? Like, so you first meet a person, they're like, oh, I eat crystals and absorb ancient powers or something, whatever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I frequent the crystal shop,
Right.
whatever it is. But okay, that's fine. Whatever. Do what you want. But realistically, I after a while of being around that type of person, when there obviously no powers have manifested, because you
Yeah.
always got to think like, well, what if this
Well, that's true.
person
Okay. Has powers.
like right, so then you're like, okay, whatever, and then like after like 2 or 3 weeks, you like see him again, and you're like, oh, what new powers did you get? And they're like, well, I haven't got any yet. And it's like, okay, well,
All right.
I'm done with you. Like that. So there's kind of there's a tolerance, I would say, for that kind of stuff. Like I always say, I'll try anything once, but like
yeah, I feel like any vampire, regardless if they're like, or even if they're like, because I've even seen like some stuff online where there are some people who do like, they don't drink like directly from the vein, drink dry, but like they believe they are a type of vampire. They get life from blood, so like they'll cut themselves, like cut people, and the people love them, like their blood.
Yeah, I know there's a community of
Yeah.
actual people that drink actual blood or whatever.
And I'm like, I feel like if I was like went to a club, and they're like, hey, nice to meet you. Can I cut you a little bit and take a little drink of your blood? I'm a vampire. I'd be like,
well, I would decline.
no.
I'd be like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I
don't keep my blood.
Yeah, I'd like this is mine, and so I'm not gonna let you do that. But
yeah, right. I don't think Dracula was. I feel like if he'd asked me like, hey, I'm Dracula,
I feel like it wouldn't ask. Isn't that the point?
No, I guess that's true. You just take
like if you're a real vampire,
I don't know.
Why are you going around asking?
He has to ask for permission to enter your house. He just can't walk into your home.
Yeah, but if you're out at a club, that's not your home. Somebody already invited him in the club. 50 Cent probably did. You know what I mean?
Are you saying 50 Cent invites everybody to, like?
Have you heard his songs? Yeah.
I guess that's true. You can find him in the club.
So
with a pocket full of bub.
Come on down, Dracula.
You do know, like that's the thing too. Like as much as I wish, like listen, like I believe lost stuff. Yeah, I think there's aliens. I think there are some monsters. I don't believe in like Dracula or things like that because if they were, they'd totally be hanging out with celebrities.
I don't know.
Like,
maybe
like someone like especially Dracula, like when he was if you look like Liza Paler, he was like guy with riches, conquering. In the book Dracula,
yeah. He have a lot of followers on TikTok, that's for sure. If Dracula was still around.
I mean?
He'd be like, "What up, everybody? It's Dracula."
I'm pretty sure he'd be a Swiftie.
I don't know what that is.
A fan of Taylor Swift.
Is that what they're called?
I thought they were called Swifties.
I mean, what if Taylor Swift is Dracula?
Why would you? I'm trying to think. I've ever seen a picture of Taylor Swift.
I've never seen her out in the daylight.
I'm gonna look up picture of. I feel like I don't want to search on my computer picture of Taylor Swift in the sun. I feel like I'd be charged with stalking.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
He really.
I mean, you feel like if he's around that long, though, he wouldn't be making himself. Like you wouldn't know, right? Like he would just. Being alive and around that long, he's mastered the art of obfuscation. So he 100% can blend in with whatever culture is going on at the time. Like he doesn't, you know what I mean? He knows enough now to not like stake bodies outside of his Hollywood mansion. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't need to do that anymore. Like he understands how things flow. He understands we live in a more civilized era. So
is that what we're calling it?
Yeah. I use that term loosely, but compared to like the Ottoman Empire,
well, that's true. That's true. That's true.
You think they just sat around and put their feet up on Ottomans? Like it's like
I feel like I gotta. Were Ottomans named after the Ottoman Empire? That is one of the top searches. That came.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Ottomans were first introduced in Europe from Turkey, the heart of the Ottoman Empire in the late 18th centuries.
Yeah.
It was usually a padded upholstered seat or bench without arms or back, and they were traditionally heaped with cushions.
Yeah. So somehow they became like footstools, basically.
Yeah, but like they were chairs with no backs and a bunch of cushions.
Yeah, a footstool, basically. Their bench.
Yeah, basically a bench, and then now we use them to put our feet on. And those coffee table books that people buy that no one ever reads.
I like to put bestsellers on my coffee table.
Oh yeah, so what? So people think you only read bestsellers.
Yeah, I mean, why would you put a book nobody's going to read? I mean, if you're going to show up.
Well, what book is on there currently?
I don't know. There's a bunch of newspapers and crap on there right now. So. I clean it off whenever company comes over.
Oh yeah,
Which
of course.
nobody ever comes over. So
I know. That's what Mary's always like. Oh, we need to keep this clean. I'm like, why?
like, why? Yeah, why?
We're only three here. Unless Dracula's come over, then I would.
Well, you have to invite him in. So
yeah, but I don't know. I feel like that's just be a hassle. He's biting somebody's neck, you know. I don't want a pike shoved up my butt and out my mouth.
I mean, do you think he still does that? I mean, he's probably only like if he's upset with you.
I feel like that's
know?
that's not like an easy habit you break.
Yeah, but after how long? So you're looking at this from too small of a sample. Like you have to think this has been millennium. You know what I mean?
Well, so if he hasn't done a long time,
maybe not millennium. Again. I don't know how many centuries, right? Millennium's 1,000 years.
Yeah.
So it's been centuries. It was 1300, 1400, whatever. So just saying.
It's almost been millennia.
Yeah, well,
the 1400s.
That's 600. That's not.
Oh no, we have a couple hundred years to get there. You know what's weird? As time goes on, I think
Dracula does come to your house.
Why? Listen, you're gonna have to listen. If Dracula's ever like coming after me, you and I are gonna have to fight him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, well,
who else? I mean, there's nobody else to call. Is there anybody else you can trust fighting Dracula?
Jack Crow.
Oh man, I don't know, man. If Jack Crow fought the real Dracula,
they'd be done in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, because he'd be dead. Because he would throw his body at him, you know, like headbutt him or something, and Dracula would just like chop his neck and his head clean off. Yeah.
Yep. Jack Crow be out of luck.
I mean, did he ever have any luck?
I mean, he got rid of those one vampires or whatever.
But I guess though, in Jack Crow's world, Dracula's not a real person. Because what started the vampires was that guy they tried to exorcise and failed, which created a demon. Dracula.
Was that
vampire?
Yeah, that's right. He was supposed to be like the king vampire, but he was awful. Like,
yeah,
how are you this bad at being a vampire? Like,
he wore a leather coat in the desert.
Yeah, well,
you know,
gets cold at night in the desert.
I just feel you just be whipping up. Excuse me, you'd be whipping up dust everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah. Nobody's supposed to do.
Smoke screen power.
All right, let me ask you this. A couple more questions for wraps up. If you were Dracula, let's say you're Dracula, where are you living in 2023? What are you doing?
I feel like you'd probably want to be someplace that is not desolate. What's the right word? That's like someplace like Colorado or something like that, where you have a lot of, you know.
I feel like there's a lot of people there now because weed's legal.
Yeah, but not like Colorado still has a small per capita.
I guess that's true.
Population. Plus, then you can be in the mountains. You know, you don't want to be in like Arizona or something, obviously. But you know, I feel like maybe North Dakota, somewhere up in that area.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where he would be at, running a multimedia conglomerate company.
Why would he go into multimedia?
Either that or
I feel he'd build
telecom.
No,
company. See, why would he build Ottoman? He hated the Ottoman Empire. He probably like if he comes in your house and you have an Ottoman, you're definitely getting the pike up your butthole, like for sure.
He just comes and he kicks your coffee table.
Just he gives it the Dracula chop, he breaks in half, and then he just pikes you. Yeah.
Oh my god! But that makes more sense in TV. I mean, what kind of shows?
Why?
What kind of shows is he going to?
He doesn't do the programming. He just owns the company.
I don't know.
Could be a telecom. I mean, because they're basically vampires, right?
Well, I guess that's true.
Telecommunication. So
that's true. You know what? Wow,
he probably owns Comcast. To be honest,
I was going to say
probably the head of Comcast.
That actually makes a lot of sense now because your internet and cable providers bleed you dry.
Yeah.
Perfect sense. Has anybody seen the CEO of Comcast in the sunlight?
I don't know.
Oh, Dracula. Why are you doing that to us? I feel like, well, if the vampires ever get out, then we know where to go. Or I feel like if they remake Twilight but use that basis, the CEO of a teleprompter company, or telecommunications company, it'd be very much different story than what Twilight is now.
I was gonna say that's like a failed Dracula teleprompter company. Yeah.
No one ever uses them.
He's just like, I own a teleprompter company. I was like, what?
Why?
What are you
Like,
doing with your life?
why?
Like fucking.
He's like, it's the opposite of an ottoman.
Yeah. He's like, it's reverse ottoman. Like,
Oh God. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, that's Dracula. That's it's I feel if you look at all the different things we could talk about, he's one of the ones that, like, I think because the media's used vampires so much, I kind of feel like they took some wind out of sails.
yeah, he's a little bit deflated, I'd say. The actual legend and like lore behind it is pretty interesting. And then you get, Twilight. It's like, all right, well.
Yep. And what was that?
Sparkles. He's a sparkly vampire.
Yeah. Then Renfield just came out, and like Nicolas Cage just made Dracula a weird purple suit wearing guy.
Yeah, a weird pervert. It's like,
yeah, he looks like a weird Barney fella. With like weird fucked up teeth. Made me uncomfortable. And then Vampire the Masquerade, I put a lot of blame on those folks. Because now I think everybody thinks vampires are just Neo in the Matrix.
Yeah, that's speaking of that, I'm gonna leave everybody with one last theory before we wrap up here.
Okay.
What if Dracula's physical body is gone, right? So he just has his Dracula spirit out there.
Okay.
What if all this AI stuff is actually Dracula coming back? Think about it. He's just waiting. He's just waiting.
There's kind of a movie like that. I think it's called like Dracula 3000. And it was
really?
Like, yeah, it's like in the future they capture Dracula, but like he's like uses his ghost or something, machines or something, and like kills them all or something. It
wow.
It was not a great movie. It was real bad. I think it's called Dracula 3000. I look it up. Dracula 3000. And like the picture of it is like a machine Dracula face. Dracula 3000. In the year 3000, the deep salvage ship Mother 3 locates the vanished starship Demeter in the Carpathian system.
Boom.
Captain Abraham Van Helsing and his crew they see a tape of a 50 years ago of Captain Varner telling that the cabin was locked because the ship, the cargo coffin in Transylvania, and like it was Count Orlok, who you find out is Count Dracula, awakes. And like who's all in that? You had now that that guy is.
I feel like I want to watch this now though.
It is
Coolio's in it.
Yeah, Coolio's in it. The guy who played the vampire in Blade that Frost rips his teeth out, he plays Captain Captain Varna, who you find out was the captain of the Demeter.
Tebow's in it.
Yep.
Tommy Debo Tiny Jester Jr.
And then the guy who plays, what was he in? The guy that plays Dracula, I don't think was in anything that anybody knows.
Man, we might have found a film that's worse than old Jack Crow. Because this sounds awful.
It's terrible. It's terrible. And I'm looking, and I can't find a single thing that the guy who plays Dracula that I think you would know. You want me to name some of his work, starting with the most recent?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you watch the TV series Warrior? Or have you ever heard of it?
No.
Okay. What about what about the movie Tiger House? No. Okay. No. How about
wait a minute. Are you talking about this guy's name's Udo Kier?
Yeah, that's the guy that was in Blade. The guy that plays Dracula.
I don't know, but this guy, the only movie of his I want to see is called Spermula.
Wait, what?
It's a French erotic fantasy film from 1976 called Spermula.
Oh,
Oh my god!
Wait, did that dude do porn
I guess
in his early days? Because that guy's been, I feel like, in every movie on the planet. As a
Who played Dracula?
That guy I was telling you that's been in a bunch of shows you've never heard of.
What's his name?
It was
because he's not listed in the cast.
Yeah, he is as Orlok.
Oh, I was Count Orlok. Okay,
Yeah, Langley Kirkwood.
Berserker.
And even the guy who played Captain Abraham Van Helsing. Oh wait, that guy's been in some stuff.
Yeah,
you know, man, I wouldn't want to fight Dracula in space.
That's the last place I'd want to fight him.
Yeah, it's always dark.
There's no sun. Yeah. Although, isn't so what? I guess it depends on what you subscribe to that actually hurts Dracula about the sun, because if you're talking about the UV rays, space is littered with UV rays.
Okay, that's true. Well, as long as you're close to a planet or close to a sun,
right? But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like there has to be some rogue UV rays out there.
Yeah, you think so? So then it's literally like a Game of Frogger Dracula out there.
Yeah. Can Dracula see UV rays?
I don't know. I don't know if he can or not. Know. That'd be kind of interesting if he could. Or what? You know what? We're talking about this, and like aliens or government saying aliens are real. What happens if we find out vampires are real?
What if it's just? What if the aliens are just Dracula? Like,
Dracula 3000, and then we're gonna be living True Blood life. Did you ever watch True Blood?
No,
not great.
I'm not a big TV person. I don't like TV shows for the most
part. I like HBO TV shows. It was an HBO.
Well,
TV show.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've heard a lot about True Blood. I just never.
You know what's weird is our friend Trevor convinced me to watch it, and like it was like the love story was like whatever, but like the lore behind like vampires and them coming out stuff was actually kind of interesting. Till about the end of the second season, and then that all went out the window and it got stupid. And I watched it for one more season, and I was like, oh no, thank you.
Yeah, done with this.
Done. Don't care about no True Blood. And I was like, fuck you, all you vampires. You can all go to hell. And I'm done with it.
For sure.
Yeah, I think on that note, I think we've touched upon Dracula enough. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we brought the information to the people. So
we did. Now you know a little bit more about base Dracula, and that's kind of what it's gonna be. Each week we're gonna talk about different kind of lore, legend, mystery. Could be spooky, could be mysterious, could be weird. Who knows with us? Yeah, you can never tell. Never tell. But hey, thanks everybody for tuning back in. Like I said, we're now going to go back. Like we took a little break, kind of reset. We're going to go back on our weekly basis here. We're going to start posting on socials more, doing all that stuff we were supposed to. But our childhood was dying, so we were through a period of mourning. But we appreciate listening. You can always follow us on every episode will come out on Monday, so please follow and subscribe to listen to your podcast. If you give us a rating, give us 5-star rating. Listen, what do you do when your friend is out grieving their childhood and they come back? You give them 5 stars. Give them 5 stars. It's like a hug. And if it's on Apple Podcasts, you leave kind words about why you'd be afraid of Dracula drinking through your butthole. Just like the rest of us.
Yep. I suggest if you have an ottoman, you just get rid of it right now.
Or maybe that's the only thing that can protect you. Because what is ottomans made out of? Wood and like planks. So like you could rip quick planks out of your ottoman.
Nah.
Just saying. Nah. All right, fair enough. You can also watch episodes. You can see our faces as we talk about these things on YouTube. So please follow, subscribe on YouTube, hit the bell for notifications. Those drop every week as well. You can follow us on Instagram, Loremaster Absurd. Follow us on Facebook, Loremaster Absurd. We'll be coming out with our other social information as we build those. Jeff, where can they follow you?
Loremaster Jeff on Instagram.
And you can follow me at Loremaster Eli. And we'll catch you all next time. And remember, throw your ottoman away. Apparently it'll upset Dracula.